Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of the Mind Blueprint podcast. And today we are going to be discussing a topic that I find very interesting about the theory of compound interesting and how you can utilize it in your life to achieve unsurmountable tasks that seem out of reach, that seem impossible, and how you can break them down to make them more realistic and utilize the effect of compound interest to make your life easier and make those tasks more achievable. So I hope you've had a great week since the first one. Mine has been pretty busy. Currently looking for jobs, currently just exploring different things, currently looking at digital marketing, and hope you've had a fantastic week. Anyway, going back onto the topic of compound interest, lately I've had a lot of people, friends, I've seen a lot of people post on social media about not being able to be happy, be grateful, and just trying to pursue passions, try new things, and achieve objective or goals that they have, but they get frozen. They feel like, what's the point of getting started, because these tasks, these things that they're trying to do, trying to achieve, the goals that they've set themselves seems to be out of reach. They think, what's the point in starting if I'm never going to achieve it? And that's a very bad mindset to have. I used to have that mindset regarding education until I started to really think about what it is I wanted to do. And compound interest was one of those things that I learned about, you could say later on in education, but early in life, because not a lot of people realize the effect of compound interest and the effect that it can have on you, and really how to just break things down. So you may have heard the expression, break your goal down into small achievable goals, and those small achievable goals will add up, and eventually you will achieve the massive thing that you are trying to accomplish. And yes, that is another way of describing compound interest. So compound interest is small amounts added daily, weekly, monthly, whatever small period of time it is, to add together, in theory compound, to get to that goal. And that is something I want to talk about today, because a great way to describe it is, would you rather have $1 million straight up, or would you rather have a penny that multiplies each time by 2 times 2 by the end of the month, so 30 days? The most of you are going to say, oh, I'd rather have the $1 million than £1 million. Well, in fact, if you compound interest that 1 penny till the end of the month, you're going to end up with a hell of a lot more than the $1 million that you originally got for free. You're going to end up with 3, 4, 5, 6 times that amount. And this really highlights the fact that people want to go straight to the goal. They want to jump straight into, oh, I've earned $1 million. Oh, I have earned a house, or I've built a company, without putting in the time, without putting in that structure, without putting in the effort to really get to that goal. So the process behind compound interest is to take something small and to repeat it daily, and keep repeating it and keep adding things on top of it to eventually get to that goal. So let me give you an example that you may know. So let's take this podcast for instance. This is going to be my second podcast. So again, this is something I'm completely new to. I want to create this podcast to be in the top 10, top 5, number 1 in terms of personal development and growth category in the world. That is my aim with this podcast. Am I going to achieve it by tomorrow? Hell no. Am I going to achieve it by next year? Probably not. But by me looking into how to do podcasts, by me actually sitting down and recording these podcasts, I'm going to learn how to get better at audio, look at the right equipment to use, how to approach certain topics, how to find the right things to get my podcast out and shown to more people. Because at the end of the day, right now, I know this second podcast is only my friends listening to it, and for those of you that are listening to it, I appreciate every single one of you, because it is really helping me out, and really helping me get the practice and the experience to produce this podcast, because I do want it to be a quality podcast, and it will eventually be a quality podcast. But I want my end goal, as I said, to be the number one podcast in terms of personal growth and development, and right now I'm nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. This is my second podcast, and you wouldn't think I would ever be close to that at this period of time. But I know I'm going to get there eventually, and some of you may be thinking, that seems insane. That seems out of all of the podcasts that are available for me to listen to right now, to learn something new, to help me get my confidence back, to help me feel better at myself, to help me get thinking in a different way, that you're telling me this podcast will be in the top 10, the top 5, even number 1 in that field. And I can tell you now it will be. But it will just take time, and it will take me doing things on a daily basis or a weekly basis, because this podcast is released weekly, compounded over a certain period of time that equals my massive goal. For those of you that are good at equations or are good at numbers, here's me simplifying the compound interest. Small daily habits times by a long period of time equals your happiness, your goal, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And that is something that I think a lot of you can utilize. I think a lot of you are feeling pressured at this moment in time. Some of you are feeling stuck. Some of you are feeling useless, and you don't know how to get out of it. And I think the biggest thing for you is you can utilize compound interest. You can utilize it by breaking what you want to do, or what you're having with, into daily small goals, just small wins that add up over time. But it's also a combination of different things that I want to get you to stop thinking of, and that's comparing yourself to other people, because you can do compound interest and you can think that you're going to be doing amazing, you're going to be doing all of this different stuff, and yes, compound interest solely by itself can work miracles. However, if you're using compound interest in the wrong way, or thinking about the wrong thoughts, that you're trying to, at the end of the day, base your compound interest to achieve a goal that you're basing off of someone else, it's not going to work. So a friend recently said to me that he wanted to start something that he's wanted to do for a while. He's wanted to do it with other friends, and they haven't really pulled through. They're not as committed to it as he would want them to be. And he said that he wants to achieve big things. He wants it to be a podcast where people can come to and get a laugh out of it, where he can just produce content that people really get a kick out of and really enjoy. But the biggest thing for me that he said was he didn't know where to start, and he felt like he didn't want to do it because he didn't know if he had the right skills, or if he was the right person, or if he could even make it that big. And well, that is true. You could be focusing on all of the negatives. You could be focusing on all of the bad things that could be going on around the thing you were trying to do, trying to achieve, and just not do anything, not put in any work, and just be stuck. Or you can think about how the way I want you to think, and this is how I challenged my friend to think, was, what if you started this podcast right now? What if you started this podcast and you had so much fun doing it, you couldn't wait to do it next week, or however many times you wanted to produce a podcast a month or a week? So by doing that, you are really, really changing your thinking. Like, you are really trying to change how you see things. And by focusing on actually doing and really committing to the thing that you want to do, you are going to be so much more happy, because the thing that my friend was trying to do, he has done, or he is doing, and I know he's a fantastic person about what he's trying to do. I know his passion is going to shine through to what he's trying to express, what he's trying to show, what he's trying to do. And the fact that he is now not comparing himself to other people, instead of saying, what's the point? There's already people out there doing what I want to do. I'm not going to make it. He doesn't know that until he gives it a go. He doesn't try and really commit to it. Then he doesn't know what value he can offer in that certain space. Or for you guys, you don't know what value you can offer in the thing you were trying to do. And even if it's not trying to offer value to someone else, if it's trying to offer value to yourself, then commit to it. I wanna challenge you. There's 3 more months left of this year. 3 more months until 2020 begins. New century. You could say 2020 vision. Corny, I know, but I will be doing stuff about that. Just pre-warning you. But for the next 90 days, yes, you may take some breaks over Christmas, but for the next 90 days, try and be as consistent as you can. And I just want you to commit to one thing in either being getting your health in order, getting into shape, trying something new like cooking, like blog writing, like making YouTube videos, like something that you've wanted to try that you've been putting off, that you haven't done because you were thinking, what's the point? I'm never going to get good. I'm not going to be as good as this person or my friend or my brother or this family member or this person. Stop thinking about the objectives. Stop thinking about all of the negatives that come with it, and be solely immersed in the process, be solely immersed in the physical thing or the mental thing that you are doing, and really give it all you've got for 90 days. Don't feel pressured, but I really, really want to see how much you can really do in terms of really pushing for something, really going for something, really striving towards this chosen thing. I can't choose it for you because I don't know who's listening, and I don't know what it is that you're going through in life and what you're really trying to do. But for those of you that are listening, I really want you to pick one thing, and you know what that one thing is that you've been putting off or that you want to try, and really selfishly go in and just do it. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about the consequences. Just solely go into that one thing. Now, if it's going to be the detriment to your job, etc., I would advise taking caution. But if it is something that I believe we're on the same wavelength of, really going out and trying things, I really, really urge you to commit and really, really press on with it, because by doing this, you're really going to be embodying the process of the compound interest theory, effect, whatever you want to call it, because you're going to be doing it several times, maybe a day, maybe several times a week, maybe just daily, but you are going to be doing it, and that is stepping out of the negative thinking that you have currently got, and it will do wonders for you because you're actually taking the right steps to changing your outlook on that certain area in your life, and it will feel amazing. And if you really do commit to this, I'm going to be so happy for you when you really, really see the benefits of it. But that's what the compound interest is, and that's how I believe you can utilize it. And another thing spinning off of the compound interest is I want to talk about time zones. It may sound, why are you talking about this, James? This isn't relevant. What are you going on about? Hear me out. So all over the world, dependent on your location, I believe there's 24 different time zones. That would make sense because there's 24 hours in a day, hence 24 different time zones. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, I believe there is over 7 billion different time zones that people aren't aware of and don't know what I'm on about. So let me explain. There are over 7 billion people on this planet, maybe even over 8 billion now at this point. I am not too sure. However, there are individuals that aren't aware that they're on their own time zone. When I said previously about how to utilize the compound effect and how to really get benefits from it, I mentioned comparing themselves to other people. I know now at my age, I am 20 years old currently at the time of recording this, that there are many, many different people that are my age or similar ages to me that are further in life than me. Some of them own houses. Some of them are owning cars that are really, really expensive. Some of them own their own businesses. However, I also know there are some people behind tech, as society concludes, behind me. They don't have a job. They didn't finish school. They aren't really doing anything. But people often compare themselves to other people, and it's a very, very bad way of thinking. I would even say, go as far as saying it's a toxic way of thinking. One of people I like to follow who is very, very good at thinking and I believe embodies a very powerful way of thinking is someone called James Smith. And he says he's an online PT coach and he is doing amazing things. And he says that people way too often, in terms of fitness, in terms of going to the gym, in terms of improving their health and body, compare themselves to people they see online. The top 1% in the world in terms of genetics, the people that can bench press 200 kg or 300 pounds for you Americans, the people that are been doing it for years and years and years and are at the top of their field, and yet you expect to look like this and achieve those goals in a short amount of time. He also says that if you saw a Ferrari or a nice car, a sports car, whatever cars you're into or you dream of achieving or getting, you wouldn't compare it to your car. You appreciate that they have a nice car. Maybe you might get slightly envious, but you don't compare that Ferrari to your Clio, your hatchback to your Corsa, whatever it is you own currently. You don't compare your car to their car. So why are you comparing your body to their body? Why are you comparing your life to somebody else's? And that's why I go back to all of us have our own time zones. And by that, I mean, we all work at our own pace. We are all on, I don't believe in, I'm not a religious person, but I do believe there is something higher up, whatever you want to call it, destiny, pre-written, whatever it is. I believe that we all have a course that we're going to travel and then we will all get there eventually. Some not as good as others, but we all have our own course. And by comparing yourself to other people, you are making yourself feel bad, you are putting yourself down, and you are stressing yourselves out because you are thinking that somebody that owns a business or owns a house has done more, has achieved this or that, and you are nowhere near where they're currently at, and that's putting pressure on yourself, and you are pressuring yourself to do more and do things that you don't get pleasure out of and that you are not having fun doing, and it puts you in a negative mindset, puts you in a negative mannerisms, and you, if I'm being completely honest and completely blunt, you feel like shit. You feel like shit just because you are comparing yourself to someone that's already way, way ahead of you, have been doing this for a long period of time, and it's not good for you. So that's why I believe you have your own time zone. You work at your own pace. You have your own strengths. You have your own weaknesses. But you need to be so immersed in what you're doing, what you are doing currently, and focus on that. Yes, have long-term goals, have short-term goals, have the ambitions in the future that your life is going to be better, but be solely immersed, as I said, in present time. My favorite film of all time, some of you may hate me for this, is Kung Fu Panda. So one of the phrases or quotes that is in the film is, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called a present. Now, I do believe this, and I do believe that by focusing on day-to-day things, we can really start to get you in a place where you're happy, where you're thinking positive, where you've got less stress, So that's what I want you to be aware of, is your own time zone. You work at your own pace. You aren't like any other individual on this earth. You are completely unique, and you work and do things in different ways to anyone. Maybe similar to some people, but nobody's the exact carbon copy of you. And that's what I want you to be paying your attention on. I want you to be thinking of your time zone, focusing on what you want to achieve, where you want to be in 1 year's time, maybe even 1 month's time, dependent on the goal and how much time you want to think about it and how much time you have given yourself to achieve it. And just go unselfishly, I won't say all in, but go head on and try those things to achieve them. Because if you were using the principles that discussed of the compound interest, of taking things one step at a time, doing multiple things daily or weekly, and doing that over a long period of time, those things are going to add up. But you're not going to be as stressed because you're going to be solely focused on your time zone. You're going to be thinking, oh, okay, I'm currently working a full-time job, but I want to own my own business. Or I'm really interested in writing books. I love reading them, and I'd love to write my own book one day. Start writing, start practicing, start doing all of those things, and just take it one step at a time. It doesn't need to be massive actions right away. It's small actions done regularly that will really impact your life. And that's what I have to say. And I believe that if you were using both the compound interest principle and recognizing that you are in your own time zone and you don't work to anyone else's time zone but yourself, then you can really start to progress and take the right steps and the adequate steps to achieving what you want to achieve. And that's what will get you to happiness, and to get you to trying different things, to experiencing different things, to meet new people, to do all of the things that you may be currently feeling like you can't do because you're really, really, really struggling mentally. And I believe that you are really destined for something amazing. I believe that you are unique, that you are going to do something amazing. And hopefully, by listening to this podcast in particular, or the podcasts in the future, that you will start to recognize how individually skilled you are, how amazing you are as a person, and how much potential you have to offer, not just yourself, not just your family, not just your friends, but actually the world, and how much of an impact you can have for the better on your life and everyone else's lives. I just want to leave you with this. I'm just going to wrap up the podcast real quick, but I just want to leave you with this thought. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Now, if this is you, if you're not where you want to be, if you're doing the same things and expecting something to change, please just recognize that that's not the case. But it is up to you, and solely up to you, to make that next step, or that first step into doing what you want to do. And just remember that everyone may not be on your side, but the most important people that are in your life currently, your friends, your family, are supportive. And even if you don't have those people right now, just know that I care for you, I love you, and you are going to achieve something amazing. Just promise yourself, you don't have to promise me, just promise yourself for the next 90 days, or the next month, or the next week, however long you want to do it. But for the next 90 days, I'm asking you to unselfishly try things that give you enjoyment, that give you fulfillment, that you have been putting off, and really, really see where you can get with it before the end of 2019. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. I hope you have a blessed weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Mind